but the gauge shows you 0 instead of 1450 psi, that means that something is clogging your line. And the most obvious thing to clog your line is some debris inside the nozzle tip, inside the third module. Hi there, this is Frens from Lotus Holland with another tech tip about your reclaiming machine. This time about the high pressure pump and your nozzles. On your high pressure pump is a pressure gauge that tells you how your pump is actually doing. So under normal circumstances, when the pump is running and there's a screen in your last chamber, the pressure gauge should show 100 bar in Europe or 1450 psi, which is roughly here in this position on the gauge. In combination with your pressure gauge, the pump is protected with something that I call a bypass. If something is blocking the line, the pump could not release the water in its normal way, and if that would happen, the pump would actually explode from the inside out. These nuts would be right through the roof. To prevent that from happening, the pump is fitted with the bypass. So the water is going in a circle through that bypass, and that is why your gauge is now showing 0 instead of 1450 psi. If it's running, but the gauge shows you 0 instead of 1450 psi, that means that something is clogging your line. And the most obvious thing to clog your line is some debris inside the nozzle tip, inside the third module. So these are your nozzle tips, one in the back and one in the front. If they are clogged from the inside out, just take them out, like this, and look at the light. If you can see through them, you have to be able to see light. If you don't see light, then they are clogged. What you do with the needle from the front, or with compressed air from the front, just clean them out and take care of the debris that is inside, until you can, again, look at the light and see light through them. Okay, once they are cleaned out, you are ready to put them back again. Make sure that you apply this white Teflon tape before you install them, otherwise they will be leaking on the side. Just simply twist them in. And tighten them in a horizontal position like this. They don't have to be really tight. Now, what is important to know is that the nozzle in the back and the nozzle in the front are different. They have a number engraved on the tip. The one in the front is 6502 and the one on the back is 2502. And that has to do with the spray angle. So the one in the back, the water has a spray angle of 25 degrees, whereas the nozzle in the front has a spray angle of 65 degrees. And that has to do with the distance to the mesh. If you load the screens with the mesh on the front, the mesh is closer to the nozzle in the front than it is to the back. And to offset that distance, that is why these nozzles are different. That difference in spray angle in combination with the distance to the mesh creates equal pressure on your mesh. And that avoids that you have tears in your mesh or weak spots while you are cleaning your screens inside this machine. Thank you for watching this Lotus Tech tip. Be sure to look at our other tech tips that you can find on the internet if you have any questions on the machine.